she observed was sort of a breakdown of norms and the introduction of aggression and stress and anxiety and fear in drivers. So how did that manifest? In lots of different ways. Sometimes it manifested in people speeding. Sometimes it manifested in people plowing through red lights or stop signs. Often, and somewhat shockingly, it manifested itself in people not using their seatbelts, which is an increase in accidents involving pedestrians and cyclists, often deliberately targeted by drivers. So you can tell.
Everyone is driving a massive vehicle. Sometimes I drive a small car too. And sometimes it can be a little scary, right? You're in this tiny little car and everyone's driving this sort of behemoth vehicle. If you have a family, I think to get a bigger vehicle so that you're not the only one, driving a small vehicle on the road, I think it makes a ton of sense. And the other thing is, you mentioned not being super concerned about pedestrians or thinking about pedestrian safety when you bought it. That's because, currently we don't include anything about pedestrian safety in the safety ratings for vehicles. So if you buy a 5-star safe vehicle, right, that does not take into account at all how safe it is for people outside of the vehicle. And that's been one of the big fights as this pedestrian fatality crisis has risen, to get the government to consider pedestrians and people outside.
Yeah, this is so interesting. Many people have celebrated the ongoing conversion of the U.S. auto fleet to more and more electric cars. These are clearly better for the environment than gas-powered vehicles. They're also much heavier than gas-powered vehicles. Yeah, and we're going to need to have a conversation about this, because electric is great, right? Like you said, it's much better for the environment, and I think, to the extent that people want to drive something that is better for the environment, that's wonderful. But we do need to acknowledge that they are much heavier, and making them heavier makes them much more deadly to pedestrians. And then at the same time, if we're doing these in SUVs and trucks and other large vehicles, the sheer weight that is added for electric vehicles is pretty astonishing. And that's going to basically only increase the pedestrian fatality crisis unless we find ways to mitigate those risks. Do you know why they're heavier? Is it the weight of the battery is just more than the weight of a tank of liquid gas? That's exactly right. Yep, the weight of the battery adds significant weight. That's right, yep.